In this video, we will examine the tragic tale of a young woman who was able to speak with her mother one final time before she was killed by a bear and its cubs. This gruesome story serves as a reminder of the harshness of nature. Olga Moskaloeva, who was only 19 years old, went camping with her stepfather, Igor Kiskinov, in late August 2011 near the village of Termalny. I've been posting lots of interesting and informative videos about bear attacks on my channel. If you're interested in learning more about this subject, please subscribe to my channel. The plan was to take a quick fishing trip before returning home to Tatiana, Olga's mother and Igor's wife, and resume their daily lives. The couple were no strangers to the wilderness, as they lived in the Russian Far East, an area known for its challenging living conditions. To many, it may seem like a harsh and untamed place, but to them, it was simply their backyard. In regional classification, the Russian Far East is often distinguished from Siberia. However, the region can be considered part of Siberia due to its geographical characteristics. There is no clear boundary for Siberia. It is vast and encompasses various terrains, such as never-ending winters, mountains and lowlands, lakes, rivers, and grasslands. The village of Termalny, where Olga and her stepfather Igor went fishing, is located near wild forests, mountains, and even an active volcano. While human settlements may offer some level of safety, the outdoors can be unpredictable. The dense forests are filled with thick undergrowth, firs, and pine trees, and provide a perfect habitat for a diverse array of animals, such as red deer, lynx, tigers, leopards, and bears. Although these animals can be majestic, they can also be extremely dangerous, particularly when they are hungry or feel threatened. Sometimes it is humans who suffer the consequences when things go wrong, even when all safety measures are in place. When luck is not on our side, there is little that can protect us from the claws of an angered animal, unless a miracle happens, and miracles are rare. In late August 2011, Olga Moskaloeva and Igor Kiskinov set out on a trip near Termalny in the wilderness of the Russian Far East. The region is known for its diverse and abundant river ecosystems. Although there had been a recent increase in large-scale poaching and extractive industries in the area, the rivers were still full of fat and delicious salmon, a traditional source of sustenance for the local population. The two of them went on the trip, expecting to return with a nice catch. There is no reason to believe they were not in good spirits. In fact, 19-year-old Olga had just gotten her driver's license a few days prior to the trip. She was a music school graduate, had high hopes and big plans for her future as a trainee psychologist. Everything seemed perfect, and a routine fishing trip should not have changed that. But it did. Humans are not the only ones who appreciate the savory taste of salmon or their nutritional benefits. Bears are also well known for their love of fish, and it is not uncommon to come across a hungry beast near a river. However, Olga and Igor encountered 4 brown bears, a mother and its 3 cubs. Mother bears are known for their fierce protectiveness of their young. If they perceive a threat to their cubs, they will attack without hesitation. It is unclear what exactly prompted the tragic events that followed. Whether the bear felt Olga and Igor were a threat, whether the animals were startled or simply hungry, it doesn't matter. They attacked. Olga watched in horror as the mother bear charged at Igor, knocking him to the ground. The enraged animal used all of its strength, and it didn't take long for its considerable force to overpower Igor. The brown bear, with its immense strength and power, viciously attacked the man, snapping his neck and crushing his skull. Olga, who had witnessed the horror unfold before her, knew that she was next in line to be targeted by the ferocious animal. In a desperate attempt to escape, she turned and began sprinting as fast as she could, her heart pounding with fear and adrenaline. She ran for what felt like an eternity, her legs burning with exhaustion as she pushed herself to her limits. But in reality, she was only able to run a short distance of about 70 yards before the mother bear caught up to her. With its incredible speed, reaching up to 35 miles per hour, the brown bear quickly closed in on Olga. Running was not an option, as no human can outrun a brown bear, especially one that is in peak physical condition and determined to catch its prey. The bear seized her leg, pulling her to the ground and repeatedly attacking her, leaving Olga with no chance of survival. Her nightmare had become reality. At some point during the brutal attack, Olga, in a state of panic and desperation, managed to pull out her phone and call her mother, Tatiana Tiskanov. Back home, Tatiana answered the call, her heart filled with hope and anticipation, not knowing what she was about to hear. But as soon as she picked up the call, she was met with the sound of her daughter's frantic and desperate voice. "Mom, the bear is eating me. Mom, help me." Olga screamed, her voice filled with agony and pain. Tatiana's heart sank as she realized that her daughter was not joking around, as she had initially thought. Instead, the pain in her daughter's voice was all too real. Tatiana could also hear other sounds in the background, the growling and chewing of the bear that sent shivers down her spine and filled her with dread. The realization that her daughter was in a life-threatening situation and that she was powerless to help her left Tatiana feeling overwhelmed with emotions. She could feel her heart racing with fear and anxiety as she listened to her daughter's screams and the terrifying sounds of the bear in the background. The thought of losing her child, her only child, was unbearable, and Tatiana was filled with immense grief and sorrow. Tatiana's world was turned upside down when she answered her daughter's desperate call for help. She could hear the pain and fear in Olga's voice, as well as the growling and chewing of the bear that was attacking her. Tatiana tried to reach her husband, Igor, but he didn't answer the call, and she soon learned that he too had been killed by the same bear. Overwhelmed with worry and pain, Tatiana desperately contacted the local police and family members nearby to ask for help in rescuing her daughter. Olga, meanwhile, was fighting for survival. Tatiana's world crumbled when she received the first call from her daughter, Olga. She could hear the fear and pain in her daughter's voice as she cried out for help, telling her mother that a bear was attacking her. Tatiana couldn't believe what she was hearing and frantically tried to call her husband Igor, who was with Olga on the fishing trip, but he didn't answer. Tatiana then called the police and begged them to rescue her daughter. As she waited for help to arrive, Tatiana received another call from Olga. This time, the young woman told her mother that the bears were back and that they were eating her. Tatiana was beside herself with grief and fear, unable to do anything but pray for a miracle. But the miracle never came. The final call Tatiana received from Olga was different. Her daughter's voice was different. It was the last time Tatiana ever heard her daughter's voice. The bears had claimed another victim, leaving Tatiana to grieve the loss of both her husband and her daughter. When the rescuers arrived at the scene, it was too late. The brutal attack had already taken place, and the aftermath was gruesome. Olga and Igor were both killed by the mother bear and her cubs. Tatiana, Olga's mother, was left with the heart-wrenching memory of her daughter's last words and the knowledge that she was unable to save her. The police officers and Andrei, Igor's brother, were horrified by the sight of the bears feasting on Igor's remains. The tragedy of the attack left a lasting impact on the family and community. Olga Moskaliov and Igor Tiskanov were tragically killed by a mother bear and her 3 cubs while they were hiking near a river. Olga managed to call her mother, Tatiana Tiskanov, during the attack and convey her desperate final words. Rescue teams arrived on the scene too late, finding Olga's lifeless body and the bears still feeding on Igor's remains. Tatiana was left devastated by the loss of her daughter, describing her as a kind, joyful, and lively person with a bright future ahead of her.